Loop 2 is just getting started, and Chapter 181 proved that. The return of Andy the Undead, the defeat of a Master Rule class Uma, and Fuuka once again jumping into an unknown world, a brand new roundtable as potentially we are getting introduced to the brand new set of villains for Loop 2, the Master Rules. I'm in love with this chapter. Yoshifumi Gotsuko was in his schoolyard duffel, writing every single thing that he penned today. And lo siento para la espera, pero I'm back. Darzus, I hope you're doing well. Let's talk about chapter 181 of Undead Unluck. As I said, sorry for the wait. I was out of town for the past week and I missed covering chapter 180, but obviously you all read that and a lot of junk went down. The return of the Undead. That shot just freaking like spoil whenever Victor comes down from eliminating that Uma. We get a really beautiful introduction for Andy last chapter, and I just wanted to highlight that due to one point. I think this is the most adept we've ever seen the undead vessel in general, Andy or Victor, be with their ability. Andy was able to send over this clone to this world that he's not even a part of right now, but this clone was fully sentient. Other than, not having the scar from the card within him, because he probably still has Remember within his head, he was fully actionable, fully able to talk to Fuuka, hear different things. It was like a whole nother version of Andy that was there, like a perfect sentient clone. We've never seen the undead vessel do this though, whether that be Victor or Andy, so I don't know if I'm hesitant to say this is the strongest we've ever seen Andy, but I think I am confident enough to say that this is the most adept we've seen the undead vessel with its ability. But even though Fuuka has a million words to say, there's 1 minute on the clock for Andy, and this entire chapter, at least the fighting portion of it, was really reminiscent of Ragnarok. I love whenever Yoshifumi puts us against the clock as readers, or at least, the characters against the clock, because it really sets up the urgency for the chapter, and the fight that went down really felt urgent because Andy the Undead said, "Oh, a minute? Easy." So with only 1 minute to spare, Andy looked at Fuuka and said the realest thing he said this entire series. He said, like and comment on this video and subscribe if you're new here. With 56 seconds on the clock, Andy engages in hand-to-hand combat with Sick, and I love to see the sort of reckless abandonment Andy tackles this fight with. He knows that all of Sick's illnesses are fatal, so he just negates the heck out of everything and continues to fight him for about 10 seconds, before he shoots off his arms with a parts bullet, and probably my favorite use of his ability this entire series. He uses it to make Shikara use Unmove on Sick whenever he's not even over there. He literally says, without saying, "Shikara, use your ability." But after Shikara freezes Sick, Andy is able to come down with a gigantic drop kick, literally impaling Sick's body knee deep into the ground. And this was so impressive. He did this before Sick was able to react, and I kind of want to make that highlight that point, I guess to say, because Sick is really strong Uma, and he was able to assess every single negator's ability in the midst of this fight. It's really impressive. He knew how to get out of Shikara's ability already. He knew that he just had to peel his skin off and then regenerate from that, because this nigga's fucking hard. Sick is a really tough Uma, and I'm terrified for what's to come, because there's 9 more of these dudes, and we saw them. Once Sick was implanted into the ground, I absolutely love the scene of Andy having the Union assist him and, trying to negate this Uma. It's really funny looking at this through the lens of Andy because he's talking to 2 of his ex-girlfriends, Gina and freaking Yusai. I'm really interested to know who Ishin is right now. We know that they skipped out on that 16-year time skip before this entire arc, so we're not sure if this is a little girl Haruka or if this is, a big body grandpa Ishin still. Nonetheless, it was hilarious just seeing how they're like, wait, how does this guy know us? And Andy really knows some of them. But seriously, Andy is really hard-boiled. The way that he has these ladies assist him and potentially, as I imagine, just dead-o-roading this guy back into the center of the earth was a little bit dumbfounding. I was really surprised to see him just say, "Oh, so we can't find its core? It's alright, 30 seconds left, let me just blow this dude to smithereens." But the next part of the chapter blew my mind. What the hell? We get a pan to the Union. We see our resident favorite 2 Umas, or at least 2 and 3, because my favorite's probably Clothy. Nonetheless, the Apocalypse book in Move. Move, as usual, eating on some snacks, a really big fan of Coca-Cola. As you'll see, he often has a bottle on him. However, the fact that Move decided to help out Uma sick, and not only help him out, but that means potentially he's been helping him out, because Move, as we know, the embodiment of movement, is able to open up these warp holes, these warp gates, which are able to go anywhere. Gina used it literally in the past episode, or the second to last episode in the anime. Whenever she has that satellite up in space, that was used by Uma Move, and we know the Union obviously uses it to transport themselves all around the world. However, we figured out that this can apparently teleport people in between dimensions during this shit, because he helps out sick. Because the fact that Uma Move is bored, he's a little bit upset too that Undead is right here helping out. And I really feel like this may have been God's interference. I don't know. I maybe Uma Move is just a little bit of a Benedict Arnold, but I just didn't expect Uma Move to be the one to betray us right here, and I really gotta hammer home that my boy Apocalypse was upset. Apocalypse is really for the Union, and although he had all that snarky shit to say to Julius during Ragnarok, and even to Fuko about using him as a glorified time machine, he really fucks with the Union. He really supports us and the task we're trying to get done, because he seemed a bit upset that Uma Move decided to, tinker his hands in the quest right here by sending Uma Sick away. But due to the fact that Uma Sick was sent away, then the situation's kind of over. That smoke dissipates and there's 19 seconds left on the clock. As Andy said, I'll be able to handle this in less than a minute, and as Fuko said earlier, we need to use some unluck to stop this meteor. Andy and Fuko, as I imagined, they go and give each other the most hype high five, running straight past each other. They're a little bit too busy to stop and, have their little conversation. But we get a really beautiful instance of unluck. With the meteor heading their way, Andy has Rip and Latla help him out to get up to the top of the roof. They give him a nice soccer punt, and it was really cute seeing how Andy had, apologized to them. The fact that he had to entrust, this task which they had given to him to somebody else, to Fuko, although he came here to help them out, and I really think still he kind of held up his end of the bargain just due to the fact that every single person within that hospital probably would have been dead right now if Andy didn't show up. But still, I really respect a man of his word, and I need to do that more often myself. I always say, I'm gonna make a YouTube video, and then I don't make the YouTube video. I'm just busy. But back on topic, what in the world was this piece of unluck? A gosh darn comet flies from the sky, and the comet eviscerates the meteor. This was really cool, and this is why I really felt like, as I said at the beginning of this video, this is the beginning of Loop 2 of Undead Unluck. Back in chapter 138, I think it is, Fuko gives this speech about how she has to expedite the process of recruiting members in order to flawlessly do it. We can't have any tragedies occur during this time because we don't want anybody hurt. We need to build this ultimate union, and if we're able to get through that span of time without incurring any losses, we are going to be setting ourselves up for the most large value, for the lack of words. And right here, we can really see how much profit, that's the word I was searching for, that we have amassed due to us taking that time to slowly but surely recruit all of the negators. We have gotten to the point where we're able to fend off against a master rule. We've gotten to the point where we have to get to that strength because there's 10 master rules who are all kind of really difficult to kill, because even as we saw at the end of this chapter, Uma Sick never died. He escaped with the help of Uma Move, and he was just bisected. Maybe potentially since Rip bisected him, he never is able to repair that, but still, so much to talk about. These celebratory panels at the end are really hype, and although I want to highlight them for the sake of time, I will just make one joke, and that is that Mui and Shin are the cutest couple around. But although I never got to make my video last week, I have obviously had conversations regarding this chapter. Join the Discord if you want to join a lot of those conversations. But dude, we had some cool thoughts about why or how Andy showed up, and in particular why he showed up without a real body. Why he sent a clone down to help out Fuko. I thought that, he just saw a meteor coming down and he said, obviously that's got to be Izumo Fuko, and if a meteor is getting dropped somewhere, that means she's probably in need of some help. Kind of a distress signal was sent to some extent. So that's why Andy had showed up. But still, if he's going to show up, why send a clone? The only, sort of excuse for that was going to be that Andy was caught up in some sort of battle or some sort of situation that was very urgent and needed him to be there in his full capacity. And he just still had to, was strong enough to go help out somewhere else because he's really that boy. we figured out that that's the exact case. As Foucault says, if Move just sent 6 somewhere, we gotta figure out where it is. It's gotta be somewhere else, and that has to be where Andy is also. And that's she, the most hard-boiled woman, not with Andy this time. Think back to chapter 9 when she jumps down that hole like a scared little girl with Andy. No, this time she is a strong-ass woman, a 200-year-old woman who is ready for whatever she is jumping into, head first. And as we see, it's such a badass shot. This dark version of the Round Table. I was gonna say the Union. No, this isn't the Union. This is even darker than Under. This is the Midnight Sun. What do you mean, dog? Like, that actually might be their names on some, shout out to the Marvel Boys shit. This really could be the Midnight Sun on some stuff, because we have this group of the 10 Master Rules, as I'm imagining. And I'm not really sure right now who they are, but I'm going to give you my guesses. I'm obviously going to be continuously discussing with, the gang, what I think these folks could be, but right now I think this is my best guess at it. 1, death. 2, faith. 3, sex. 5, justice. 6, war. 7, maybe future or time due to the fact that he's looking at a stopwatch. 8, maybe knowledge due to the fact that they're reading a book. 9 is unknown, and 10 is obviously Uma sick. And obviously I skipped past some members, but that's just due to the fact that I don't know who they are. Why would I guess on every single person if I have no sort of clues or guesses at what they could possibly be? I don't care that much. We'll get to that point, though. We'll get to that point. Nonetheless, what do you think this group's responsibility is? This Midnight Sun, as I'm going to coin them until I get a better name for them. What is the Midnight Sun up to? From Six's perspective, it kind of seemed like he had just kind of overseen what had gone on within the loops. And even from Jui's perspective, although we haven't learned about what's gone on in the 90 plus loops that she experienced, it never really felt like from her, information, like she had gotten too far in these loops. Like she had gotten far enough for a group such as this group that sits on the underside of the world of Master Rules, for them to try to themselves get engaged within, stopping the Union from achieving the end goal of defeating the gods. I wonder if this group has ever been pushed to that point, because we see some really terrifying Umas, or at least the idea of some really terrifying Umas within here. Like all of these 10 humanoid Umas, I think we all kind of had the feeling that the 10 penultimate Master Rules would be something like this. But now that we know that they exist as a group of, villains all together, or whatever they actually may be, what are they going to do? What have they been doing? What will their impact be on this loop? I'm so excited to freaking see it. Will the Union all have to come down to the upside down world? Are they going to really start antagonizing things? Have they already been pulling the strings beforehand? Because that's one thing I'm wondering, if God has been the one, pulling the strings, why hasn't he just had his generals, his lieutenants, these group of 10 mean-mugging individuals get the job done? I don't know. I hope Yoshifumi explains this well, because this is an amazing chapter, and the lore of Undead Unluck is getting back to it. Undead Unluck in general is just on fire right now, in every single respect. Need to edit this, though. It's probably getting long, so I'll maybe